Welcome to Marketing Brew Weekly, the show where we chat about everything surprising and delighting the marketing world this week. I'm Jenny Mywin, reporter here at Marketing Brew.
I'm Kelsey Sutton, editor.
And I'm Katie Hicks, senior reporter.
Today, we've got results from that Sydney Sweeney campaign, a deep dive into Labubus summer, and a look at exactly how big Taylor Swift has been for brands lately. Ready? Let's go.
So, Jenna and Katie, have either of you seen Nike's new brand campaign? They're very known for the Just Do It tagline, and they've put out a new brand campaign that's called Why Do It. Have either of you seen it?
I have. It's for the anxious Gen Z audience. Is that right?
The cringe factor, they're targeting it as well, which as the resident Gen Z of our group, I feel a little targeted, as in put on the spot, but I do think it's clever. It's not exactly a brand new slogan, though, is it?
No. Well, and if you haven't watched it, I would recommend Googling it, doing a quick Google. It really looks like a kind of classic, sleek Nike ad, and it's voiced by Tyler, the Creator. But it has all of these athletes. Caitlin Clark is in it, LeBron James, and it's all sort of about how trying is sort of looked at as kind of cringe among Gen Z, and it's sort of saying, well, why do it? Why are you doing this? And it's a little tongue-in-cheek, I would say, because of course the idea
it's like basically daring them, like, hey, you probably don't want to do this because it is cringe, but like, what if you did? I feel like doesn't the ad end with Tyler, the Creator, saying, what if you don't do it? And then he like laughs at them.
Yes.
Yeah. I think the scripting is clever, and the classic Nike vibe of it is clever because the script is like daring. It's kind of being like, why would you even put yourself out there? Why would you even like put yourself at risk of being laughed at? Which I do feel like is an attitude. Like if you look at the comments on any TikTok section, like there is that vibe amongst Gen Z people, but pairing it with like this footage of all of these like incredible athletes that people have facial like recognition of doing incredible things, like kind of makes you, even if you are cringing at the idea of putting yourself out there, it's like, oh, I do kind of want to be like that.
And I feel like Nike just has always owned this space of like this really almost like motivational. I feel like you see a Nike ad and you're like, man, I want to go push a little harder. I want to go run an extra mile or do that thing a little bit faster. And so it just feels kind of like a really fun refresh of that sort of thing. But I really feel like they've kind of, to me, it doesn't feel like a new slogan, but really just, it kind of gets back to the just do it question. It's like, why do it? Why not? Just do it. You know, it
for
kind
all
of
those kids who don't want to play sports because they're worried, I guess they're trying to get them in the game.
Yeah, kind of puts like a little like no BS spin on the classic just do it and putting it into a why do it.
Let's talk Sydney Sweeney, because who isn't talking Sydney Sweeney this summer?
Oh my gosh, it really has been sort of the denim conversation that keeps on going.
It never ends, truly.
So for those that don't know, the Sydney Sweeney American Eagle campaign got a little bit of controversy this summer. It was all about how Sydney Sweeney has great genetics. She, talked about how parents pass down their genetics from parents to offspring and has blue eyes. It got a little bit of controversy, but we have proof now from the CMO and from the company's latest earnings report that shows that the campaign was actually quite successful. They got 40 billion impressions, 320,000 new social followers, and 790,000 new customers acquired for American Eagle since the campaign launched in late July.
And you talked to their CMO, Craig Brommers, last week. Right after you spoke with him and their earnings came out, their stock went up 25%. So investors are also clearly excited about what they're seeing. I also think they just put out a new collab with Travis Kelce's brand, True Colors.
So
a day after the engagement.
Yeah, really great timing. And kind of just like riding that wave of like everyone talked about their latest campaign. So here's another one. And I imagine can only be getting a boost from American Eagle literally being on everyone's lips.
Yeah. So what do you guys think? Does this kind of show that like all press is good press no matter what, even though there was some pushback from people online?
I think something that's really interesting here is like trying to really understand for any CMO, any marketing team, what is the difference between online conversation and actual results and online backlash and actual results. I feel like this was something we were all talking about in our meetings about the Cracker Barrel logo rebrand a couple weeks ago. But just when you have a bunch of people who are very loudly saying, no, this is bad, et cetera, are they an existing customer were they a potential customer? And also, then does that backlash create somebody who's like, I wasn't a customer, now I am a customer? Or are there people who are just, it's fall, they're going in the bar, they're buying jeans, they like American Eagle, they like Sydney Sweeney, bing, bang, boom, that's it. And they're sort of out of this sort of outrage cycle that was sort of existed around this whole thing.
There's also the question of, for any customers the brand may have lost because of the backlash, did they acquire more? Because this did end up being kind of a politically charged discussion. This campaign started to get some attention from politicians who may have inspired some people to start shopping at American Eagle in response to this. So who knows? I mean, maybe that's the company's goal, was to attract a whole new demo.
Yeah, I also feel like it's like, it kind of shows that like people who hate something are always going to be louder than people who love something. Haters rise up. But
also, do you have to love a marketing campaign to be like, do you have to love it, or does it have to be like just fine, like it works?
Right. Like if you need jeans, and like Sydney Sweeney's jeans campaign was talked about so much that you were like, oh, I actually am in the market to buy new jeans, like maybe I'll just check this out anyways. If you're not locked into like the nitty gritty of like the actual campaign, it maybe just like being on everyone's minds is enough. I do think it's interesting that this new results data from the company itself is kind of standing in contrast with previous third-party data that said that foot traffic in stores were down. I feel like that came out before the earnings report, and it seemed to signal that all of this hoopla online was having an effect, was creating this effect that people were not buying the jeans. But over time, it seems like that's not exactly the case.
And I feel like maybe it's just something we keep an eye on, because obviously American Eagle as a brand, they're facing a lot of pressures. They're facing just consumer uncertainty, like economic uncertainty, but they're also facing questions about tariffs. And I think in the previous quarter, they actually pulled their full year guidance because they were like, it's very hard to forecast kind of what this is going to look like. So it's just kind of, it's sort of an interesting thing. Yeah, again, does this last long time, or do people forget about the outrage and then they're kind of remembering American Eagle? Or the opposite, the only thing that they can think about is that there was this backlash. And
something I'm curious to see is, like, I feel like the Sydney Sweeney campaign kind of created this discussion about the denim wars this summer. And like other brands started putting out their denim campaigns for back to school. And I think some people thought it was in response to American Eagle's campaign. Gap's ad with Cat's Eye, the girl group, where they're dancing to Milkshake by Khalees, has done incredible numbers. Like, I think it has like 90 million views on TikTok alone and like 15 million views on YouTube right now. So there's a question, because these results that we're seeing from American Eagle right now kind of only account for like the beginning of August. They did say traffic was up all of August, but we don't really have hard numbers since some of these other campaigns have come out. So will we see better results from Gap as their results keep coming in? And will we see like some of these other campaigns play out better?
Yeah, and you're so right, because it's like the fall is such a key moment for denim brands, because back to school shopping, all of that sort of thing. Gap's Cat's Eye ad was probably in the works for a very long time. Cat's Eye is very busy, but when it came out, in contrast to Sydney Sweeney, Cat's Eye is a very diverse group of women. There's sort of, it just, again, people couldn't help but make that comparison. And now they're kind of making these judgment calls of which brand do I want to align myself with? Where am I going to spend my money? Which jeans am I going to buy, based sort of on this whole, again, continued controversy. So I wonder kind of how long that tail lasts for American Eagle, good or bad, right? How long that Sydney Sweeney campaign continues to go. But they're really already pivoting. They were talking about, they struck up a deal with Travis Kelce. I believe it was announced the day after the announcement of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's engagement. And they're doing a partnership with his clothing and apparel brand, True Colors. And I think the CMO also talked a little bit about what that's going to mean kind of culturally for American Eagle going into the fall.
Yeah, I mean, so far he said that they sold more from that collab, excluding the Sydney Sweeney collab, but they sold more from that collab in one day than any other collab in a week's time. So I think they're feeling very positive overall about both collabs. And basically the CMO had told me that the brand is now just kind of focused on retaining those customers they've acquired from these campaigns, and also just like continuing to be at the tip of everyone's tongue. He said it was something about like, building buzz and turning buzz into business.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it's interesting that I believe that when you spoke with him, he also said like wasn't purposely outrage marketing or outrage bait, even though obviously some people online took it that way. it's interesting that it doesn't necessarily have to be purposely from the company's side, like trying to stoke reaction, but it did stoke reaction. And it is having this longer tail, like Kelsey said, of other effects of campaigns like Gap's denim campaign seeing such excitement because it does stand in contrast. But then it's also still having a long tail effect with American Eagle's next collaboration that they're excited about. So they probably didn't want to make a bunch of people mad, but it's not necessarily bad that they did it either.
I mean, they haven't apologized. The company put out a statement like pretty soon after the backlash started online, and they said, this has always been about the jeans. And when I talked to the CMO, he said the same thing. Like, this is all about the jeans. Said the campaign was meant to inspire confidence. He would not say whether it was meant to spark outrage, but it seems pretty clear that he feels confident that the people that have bought the jeans and have supported the campaign understood the original message.
And he said that the company never pulled any pieces of the campaign either, right? There was like some chatter that like, oh, like that specific ad had to be taken down because there was so much backlash to it, but it all stayed up.
It seems like he just kind of, or the team rather, kind of moved pieces around. They didn't remove anything, but they kind of put it in different places.
Yeah, maybe the lesson here is sort of stay the course, you know, and put your head down a little bit.
Okay, can you guys believe that the winner of the U.S. Open was actually the bedazzled Labubus that made their debut after every Naomi Osaka win? At least that was my personal winner.
I was waiting for you to bring these up.
In case you somehow missed it, Naomi Osaka debuted custom Labubu dolls after each win throughout the U.S. Open. And to me, it's kind of like the perfect cap to what feels like a whole season of Labubu. They really blew up earlier this summer, and we certainly spent all summer talking about them. We make a joke about them actually anytime we are given the opportunity to.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. And there's Lafufus, there's Hasi Pupus. It's kind of, it's been a whole ecosystem of any ooh sound you could maybe come up with. But it's really just kind of shaped culture and thus the marketing world. And I'm curious what you guys think. Why do you think Labubus have had such an effect on culture and marketers and other brands?
Well, Jenna, you wrote about this a little bit earlier this summer, but something I think is so interesting is this targeting from Pop Mart, which is the parent company that owns Labubus and other blind box sort of products, but targeting this adult consumer who sort of has a childlike wonder and an adult-sized pocketbook, sort of
the
going after,
combo.
the perfect combo for a certain set of brands, sort of going after this customer who's looking for something very nostalgic, very collectible. These Labubus are sort of these little charms, but there's all this excitement around them. And so we've seen not just a lot of growth. I think Pop Mart's stock is up 250% this year as of the end of August. But we're also kind of seeing it with these other brands that are saying, okay, what can I learn from this? Either targeting this customer set, this kidult, as we've kind of dubbed it, but also targeting the sort of interest from consumers in buying something without knowing what they're getting.
Which leads perfectly to, I know Katie wrote about blind boxes. Tell us a little bit more about the appeal of blind boxes.
I mean, one of the big appeals, and I was writing it from a social perspective, is just these unboxing videos. We see so many creators popping up nowadays. There's like so many on TikTok, some with millions of followers, where their whole account is just them opening up surprise items. And a lot of those are Pop Mart items. And people are really tuning in. And I think part of that is just like the appeal of like it's basically like a secondhand dopamine hit. People are like, what are they going to get? I don't know. You buy these items and you have no idea like which variation you're going to get. Sometimes you don't even know which toy you're going to get. So I think people are just like very tuned into the surprise element.
I feel like we talk about and we sort of joke about surprise and delight being a phrase that we hear so much in the marketing world, but is this not just a perfect encapsulation of that
literally
trend? But I'm surprised. Oh my gosh, I didn't
and
know
I'm delighted by whatever I'm getting inside.
Or I'm not, and I'm going to go right back and I'm going to buy something else. Something that I loved out of this kind of trend is we saw Cava, which is a sort of fast casual Mediterranean restaurant, putting out, I think they were called pita pans or Peter
Chip is
Peter
his name.
Chip,
They were variations of Peter Chip.
Cute.
And it was a little collectible, almost like a Happy Meal. You go in, you buy your lunch, and you get a little sweet treat.
It really is the adult Happy Meal. And when I talked to the CMO of Kava, he was saying like people are lining up out the door for these things and people are coming back twice. You were only supposed to get one, but people were like very excited about getting these little pita chips that you can clip onto your bag. And honestly, that's another benefit for brands too, is if you're walking around with a Labubu or a little pita chip, that's marketing for you. Like you're walking around and people are going to ask, what is that? Or like see a little Kava tag on it and go, oh, I want to go to Kava and get one of those.
Yeah. It's literally like perfect manufactured hype. And then like you get to continue just like integrating it into your life. I think it's interesting that a brand like Kava got in on it because they're so not what you would associate with a typical kidult. Like kidults by definition, I talked to a researcher at Circana, is an adult who has interests in toys. So like Kava has no relationship to the toy market, right? Like when you look at Labubu, you're like, okay, that's a freaky looking toy and there is a specific market for that. But it's just like, I feel like showing that like the kidult can expand beyond the toy market.
Everybody loves whimsy.
Everyone loves a little whimsy.
And I think maybe even particularly now, we've talked about how sort of in this moment where it's sort of this economic precarity, inflation is very high. People are looking for sort of little, I don't even want to say a luxury because I don't know if a Labubu is a luxury necessarily. But
the resale market would disagree.
Yeah. Yes, the resale market might disagree, or the bedazzled ones are going for.
Yeah. Naomi Osaka's are like $500, I saw.
Yes.
So some of them are luxuries.
Some of them are luxuries, but a lot of them are just sort of a little gift to yourself, a little treat. And I feel like we've seen that sort of takes off, when somebody's maybe holding off on a big purchase, they're investing in something a little bit smaller. And so I really think, I wonder if we're going to see more brands lean into this going into the fall. It's going to be a holiday season, of course. Is it gift giving? Is it giving yourself a little treat by buying a little blind box?
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's interesting how much staying power the Labubu trend has had. I feel like there's totally a chance that like the actual Labubu doll phases out, right? Like maybe it only stays popular with a certain audience. But I think the effect that it's had has staying power. I think blind boxes continue to be popular. I think the fact that people want to treat themselves to little things, like it's kind of just like opened the door for all of these other brands to tap into it. And you don't necessarily have to be a toy brand. You don't have to be a very specific little doll. And it's kind of wide open for anyone to get in there.
It's just sort of prepping the consumer for that experience.
Right.
We even saw this with like Lake Crusade over the summer with their like farm to table sale too. Like people were so excited to post unboxing videos of like Dutch ovens. It doesn't have to be a toy, but people love surprise. And I think a lot of brands are realizing that.
Yeah. I feel like on social, people are just primed to like, as soon as you're like, I have a box, people are like, what's inside? I gotta know. It's just something inside you is innate. We've all been trained.
It's a very cat-like behavior.
We're all like,
you're like, what's behind that door?
Show me. Yeah, totally.
So I want to go from diamond Labubus to diamond rings, not just because I'm wearing one, but also because sort of America's favorite couple, perhaps, are tying the knot. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce got engaged at the end of August, and it sort of capped off a summer of brands jumping in on Taylor Swift news. And as we head further into football season, I think this is only sort of starting. But when Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce shared news of their engagement, the brands jumped immediately to talk about this. And it really was a replication, I would say, of the way that brands reacted when Taylor Swift announced her new album, Life of a Showgirl. There were all these brand posts about it. So I actually came up with something that I am calling Find the Fake.
Oh my God, again.
And so what I've done is I have actually put together some real and also fake that I wrote, social posts from different brands. And I want to read them out to you and ask you if you have been paying close attention to the brand reactions and can spot which ones are real posts and which ones are not so real posts.
Okay,
right,
Kelsey flexing that social marketer muscle over there.
Yeah. I am available for copywriting. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so here we go. Tell me if this is real or fake.
We're ready.
Poppy, the probiotic soda brand, posted a visual of one slightly crumpled up soda can kneeling next to another one with a caption, "He poppied the question. Cry emoji, cry emoji, cry emoji, ring emoji, ring emoji, ring emoji."
This feels very plausible.
I think it's real.
Okay.
I'm going to go with real.
Okay.
I'm going to go fake because I feel like I saw a different post from Poppy, but maybe they were just all over it. But I'll go fake.
Okay. So Jenna, you are right. It is fake.
Wow.
They did post, but I feel like I need to give Katie half credit here because rival probiotic soda brand Olipop did post. He Olipopped the question.
Wow.
I
as
saw
part
a
of
pun
their
opportunity
post.
and they took it.
Yes.
I respect it.
Yes. Okay. Real or fake? Funfetti, the cake brand with the sprinkles, posted a heart-shaped cake decorating video with a full recipe, including the caption, "It's a love story, baby. She said yes."
That feels real. That feels pretty low effort. That
Yeah.
feels like something I already had in the vault.
Right.
Taylor Swift reference. And they just kind of like put on a clever caption.
Yeah, I agree. It feels very doable.
You're right. That was real. Okay. Real or fake? Panera posted a picture of a ring sticking out of a bread bowl with the caption, "She said yeast."
Horrifying. That makes me think of not pleasant things. So
This is one that I'm going to say is real, but I wish it wasn't.
yeah, I'm gonna have to agree.
You nailed it. It is real. Also, when doing research for this, I found some other bread puns. Funfetti posted, "Are you ready for it?" around the time of her new album release. So we really like these bread puns.
Yeah, I mean, she revealed that she was a baker, and the bread brands were like, "Yes, it's time."
Yes, absolutely.
They said rise.
Oh my God.
Wow, Katie's also available for copywriting.
We're all available.
Okay, real or fake? Krispy Kreme posted a photo of a hand with a mini glazed donut ring with 3 ring emojis and then no ring, no problem, followed with details for a 2-for-1 original glazed donuts deal at participating stores.
I feel like I saw this one. I feel like I saw the deal, so I'm going to say real. Not that I'm saying real to everything here, but I'm going to go with real.
Anything can be real.
Anything can be real.
If you believe.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with fake. It feels a little gross. That's my only reasoning.
So, Jenna, you're right. It
Yeah.
is fake. They did post a lengthy fake email noting that the social media manager of Krispy Kreme was requesting time off, but they did highlight a giveaway. So I think it was for 2 hours you could go get a free glazed donut. So I sort of tricked you there a little bit.
Yeah.
That's
Okay. Real or fake? TikTok USA commenting, "Happy engagement," spelled MINT,
M-I-N.
They misspelled it.
because they're Tic Tac.
Oh, it is a TikTok.
Me too. I was
sorry.
like, hello?
Tic Tac, the mint brand.
Okay. That feels real. That feels easy.
Yeah, I'm just going to keep saying real.
Yeah, and you're right. You're right. It's real. Okay. Real or fake? Scrub Daddy posts a photo of their scrub daddy and scrub mommy with the caption, "It's a scrub story, baby, just say yes."
I saw this one. This one's real.
Wow, definitive. I gotta go with Katie if she's so sure.
I fooled you. I fooled you. They wrote, "Your mommy and daddy are getting married."
You guys, I need to read more skeptically.
No,
Katie can be fooled by any brand post is what I'm learning.
Shoot, I'm the perfect customer.
something I realized when making this is that so many brands actually did do these posts. It was very hard to find a brand that did not do it. So I was sort of using real ones and going, okay, well, what can I make up? That's sort of a fake one. Okay, real or fake? Final one. LASIK, the vision correction providing brand, posted an image of the happy couple with the caption, "This is true love, and if you can't see that, I honestly don't think we can help."
Okay, I know that Taylor Swift has gotten LASIK, so it feels like they should be all over this, so I'm gonna go real.
I'm going to say fake, just because, on principle.
It's real. Yes. It's real. They did post. I did not know that she had gotten LASIK.
Yeah, there's a Jimmy Fallon interview where he like has a video of her like coming home from LASIK. I'm not even a Swiftie, and I know.
Oh yeah, she's eating a
lot about
banana.
this.
I know this. I know this.
Yes. I do feel like it's kind of funny for LASIK to be like, "You're blind if you don't see that this is real." Like kind of an intense choice.
Yeah,
But
ultimately good brand humor. Maybe,
Yeah.
hopefully,
Yeah.
as long as it lands.
well, thanks for playing along, everyone.
Oh my God, thank you so much for doing that. That was delightful. Surprised and delighted, I must say.
Me too.
Well, thank you all for joining us on this inaugural episode. And if you want to tell us what kind of topics you want to hear us chat about, send us an email at mkbw@morningbrew.com, which you can also find in the show notes. We literally can't wait to hear from you, and be sure to join us next week.